This is a quick exercise looking at text and path animators in After Effects. I hope you've already watched the excellent video on text animators from School of Motion. It has some really core principles of using animators both for paths and for text. And this is just a short example of how you can put those things in application to make something like this. I just have some text on the screen. I've hidden the background layer. That's all that's happening here. There's no animations. So what I want to do is I want to hide this text below a mask and then have it animate letter by letter up onto the screen. So to do that, I could draw a mask in this layer directly, just because this is my preference so that I can see it. And I can change the color of this so you can tell what I'm actually doing here. And I'll pull off the stroke so we can see the edge of that. I'll just position this right there. Okay, so I can go ahead and name that my mask. Actually, for now, I'm not gonna hide this. Let's take a look at our text now. So to add an animator, I come into my text layer. Underneath text, I come over here to animate, and I am going to animate the position of this text. And give myself a little more room up here. And then we have a few things under the animator. We have a range selector, and we have the position of how we're going to impact this text. So the first value is X, our second value is Y. So if I increase this, this looks exactly the same as adjusting the transform property of our entire layer. However, if you took a look at that School of Motion video, you should have an understanding of how you can adjust these range selectors to adjust the beginning and the end of where you're implementing that effect, and then also how you can adjust the transitions, whether it be like a ramp up or ramp down, or a 100% change between the transformation and the text without the transformation. So the first thing to do to really see what we're working with here, I like to open up the range selector, and I like to give myself a little bit of repositioning so that I can see what the impact is, and then I'll start to adjust the start and end points here just so I can wrap my head around what's happening here. So when the end point of this selector is at 0%, nothing changes. And as I increase this, you can see the little red cursor moving from character to character. And as that moves over from 0 to 100%, now everything is impacted. So I'm going to go ahead and move these so that at 100%, everything is down below what will be our mask. And we might have to adjust this further once we change the some of the advanced settings here. And then if I were to animate this now, I could essentially animate the start here, and it would come up letter by letter. The problem with this is there is no overlap between the movements. So the A comes all the way up, and then the L comes up, and then the I comes up, and it's just not very fluid. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to animate the offset so that there is a little bit of easing between these things. Now, the offset is where that range selector is in terms of the whole word. So you can see the cursors moving there. It's just grabbing 25% of the word as a whole, or the selection as a whole. So if I move this all the way back to negative 100%, nothing is selected, everything is where it began. And then as I increase this, that selector moves forward, and it's impacting each character until it's all the way off. So I'm going to leave this here just to see what's happening. And then underneath advanced, because I don't want these to come on one by one, I'm actually going to use ramp down, I believe. Let's take a look at the offset and see what happens. So as the selection comes on, it moves them down. I think I actually want the opposite, so I'm going to try ramp up, and this looks more like what we want. So if it's all the way to the left, nothing is showing above what will be our mask, and then as this moves forward, these start to come on, except these still look one by one, so I think I actually need to increase that range a little bit so it's grabbing a few more characters at a time. And now you can see that it's starting to impact more than one character at a time. Let's do something Okay, let's try something like this. So now the thing that I can animate here is this offset. So we'll start it at around 26% because I can see everything is hidden below what will be our mask. I'm going to place a keyframe there, jump forward a few keyframes, and then I'm going to slide this over so that everything is showing. If I play this now, you can see how those letters animate up above our red box currently. And then all I have to do is change my mask here to that mask layer. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is animating paths, which is a very similar concept. I'm just going to lock my text so that I don't accidentally change anything. And then I'm going to grab my pen tool, make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to draw my underline underneath these here. And I can see that E doesn't quite make it all the way up. So let's just go ahead and shift that mask down just a little bit. Okay. Okay, so back to my shape layer. Right now it doesn't have a stroke. I'm going to go ahead and add a pure black stroke into this and make sure that I don't have a fill. And I want to animate this path growing from the start and then shrinking from the start. So it looks like this line is growing out and then the beginning of it is following the end. So this works very similar to how we're animating text. I'm going to come underneath my shape layer. I'm going to go to add, and then this would be a trim paths. If I open up trim paths, we have some similar controls. So if I adjust the end here, you can see how it trims the end of that path. If I add percentages to the start, you can see how it animates the beginning of that path. And then similar to the character offset range selector, this offset moves that selection that we're grabbing. But for this one, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the beginning of my, actually not the beginning of my animation. I'm going to start this after the text makes it all the way onto the screen. So maybe somewhere like here. And the first thing I'm going to do is animate the end of this path. So I want this to start at 0%. I'm going to move forward a few keyframes and then change this to 100. And so now that line grows. But now I want the start to follow that end. So I'll add another keyframe there, move forward a little bit, and then change that start to 100%. We could, of course, apply some easing to these things and then adjust those animation properties the same way we would adjust anything else. But this is just a quick way to take a look at what you can actually do with some of those features. One last quick bonus thing I want to show here is how you can get text to follow a path. And you actually do that from a mask property. So we actually need a mask inside of our text layer to follow it. So if I grab my text here, we need to select the path from these path options, but we need to get a mask in there first. So I have my text selected. I'm going to use my pen tool. You can tell it's going to create a mask here. And then I'm just going to create like a wave shape in here. You can see that mask appears here underneath the masks property in my text layer. And then I get that mask one as an option here. And you can see how that starts to bend to this path.